Hey, what's up? Zach here. And today I've got my top 5 favorite pickleball shoes for both indoor and outdoor play for winter 2023. Here we go. Now, starting off in the outdoor section, when you're looking for a pickleball shoe for outdoor courts, you don't need to worry about the rubber durability as much on the outsole. You still got to worry about it because you're still generating heat. You're just not generating the heat you would running an entire baseline on a tennis court and then sliding into the ball. So you're much more looking for quick movement, much more looking for a shoe that can grip, get down really low for a ball, and spring back up really quick, and also has a lot of nimble footwork in a very small contained area. And so speaking of all those characteristics, the one that does the best in terms of nimble footwork in a small area is the number 5 shoe, and that is the Diadora B Icon. Now the B Icons are pretty interesting. They have a really flexible ankle collar that goes up really high on the Achilles, but then it swoops down pretty low. It also has a very flexible shank, which is also pretty wide and has a lot of coverage here on the bottom of your foot. It's also a molded full-length tread pattern, so you're getting a little bit of arch contour, but also full-length tread to give you maximum grip. It also has what I think is probably the best thing for a pickleball player, and that is a super aggressive 4-foot pivot point here, which allows you to get super low to the ground, but also allows the rubber to spring back really quick because it's built into the outsole tread versus some other shoes where you end up with some creasing points there or just a point of failure in the shoe or the midsole foam. Whereas in the B Icons, it's built into the shoe and it is ready to get down really low for balls. So I think in terms of really quick, speedy type shoes in a small contained space, the B Icons, one of the best out there except for some of the other shoes on this list. And coming in at number 4 is a tie because I really couldn't choose between the two of them because they both do so many different things really well and they're kind of just built for just a little bit of different player. However, coming in at number 4 is the New Balance Fresh Foam Lab V2 as well as the New Balance 796. And what I like about both of these two shoes is they have outsole treads that grip incredibly well, and they're also flexible enough to kind of get up and move really fast. The thing about the Lab V2 is it's much more maximalist shoe than the 796. A little more protection under your midfoot and forefoot, a little bit more padding under the heel. You can throw a bigger orthotic in these shoes. They're much more of a shoe for side-to-side speed for a little bit of a heavier player or just someone who's a little bit harder on their shoes. They're just going to last a little bit longer than the 796. However, on the opposite end, the 796 is a much quicker shoe than the Lab V2. Its grip is a little bit better than the Lab V2 and its launch is a lot better than the Lab V2. The problem is it's a much lower ankle collar, much more minimalist uppers, and so if you're looking to put an orthotic or any augmentation in them, they're going to be a little bit harder to do that in. Also, the midsole foam is going to bottom out a little faster than the Lab V2. So in terms of performance, a little bit better. In terms of durability, a little worse. And coming in at number 3 on the outdoor section is a shoe that I've kind of recently had some really good success with, and that has been the Adidas Sole Match Control. And the reason I love the Sole Match Control so much for pickleball all comes down to the uppers and how much grip you can get from really awkward and low to the ground positions. Because the outsole rubber comes up all the way over the toe box and then goes into an upper rubber with the exact same pattern as the outsole tread, you are able to grip from super low positions on the court in really awkward positions, even if you are sliding into a shot, bend down really low, or kind of extreme ends of the pickleball court. The other thing I love is the quasi-wave herringbone pattern on the outsole, as well as the compound of the rubber, which gives such great side-to-side grip and stability as well as speed. Now, the one thing I don't like about the Sole Match Control is it doesn't have a shank on it, so you will want to throw an orthotic in these if you're concerned about midsole longevity or if you are a heavier player. However, if you're looking for side-to-side speed, grip, and just a rugged type shoe to play in that really can get you out of some hairy situations, Sole Match Control is just a phenomenal pickup. And coming in at number 2 is kind of one of my favorite all-around sneakers this year from the tennis, basketball, and pickleball space, and that is the Way of Wade All City 10 V2. And these things are probably the most stable shoe I've put on my foot this year, no matter what type of sports sneakers I'm reviewing. Now, number 1, the flange on these is super wide and broad. It's also made of a proprietary compound in the midsole, which is super dense but super light, so especially going side to side, the shoe is not going to buckle underneath of you because the midsole foam is so strong on the lateral side. It also has a dorsal retention strap, which I know a lot of people say is a gimmick. However, I could not disagree more. It definitely increases the stability of the shoe and gives another point of fixation on your foot. It also has mesh netting around the forefoot of your shoe, giving you a little more confidence with pivoting, as well as outsole tread that goes up all the way over the toe box. It also has a continuous tread pattern with a pretty darn wide heel, and the Swiss cross type outsole pattern gives grip pretty much wherever you are on court. So if your main concern is stability and side-to-side confidence, And I think the Wave Wade All City 10 V2, probably the best one out there. And before I get to the number 1 outdoor shoe on this list, remember, a lot of these shoes, both indoor and outdoor, can be augmented with orthotics to make them even that much better for you. And that's what brings me to today's sponsor, which is Move Orthotics. And as you know on this channel, I will only ever endorse a few brands of over-the-counter orthotics, because I really only think there's a few brands out there that bring something really unique and beneficial to the table. And one of them certainly is Move Orthotics. So they found a way to bring really robust arch support in a very minimalist package, because if you look at their profile, they slide into most shoes without leaving a pretty big footprint. So if you are trying to get a pair of shoes like the Adidas Sole Match Control, where they could be a little bit prone to heel slippage, throwing in a Move Game Day Pro will give you durable arch support, but also won't bulk up the back part of the shoe. Also, the great thing about the Game Day Pros is they're a little bit squared off here in the upper part of the orthotic, as well as have a textured forefoot. So when you put them in your shoe, they're not going to move around a lot, especially because also they're made in specific sizes. So me being a size 11, I would just order a size 11 in these, and you won't have any of that moving or slipping, and you really shouldn't even notice it's in there. And the nice thing about the Move Performance line is they do come in the Game Day Pro for a little more functional stiff arch support, as well as the Game Day for a little more flexible arch support. So if you're wearing something like the Sole Match Control, maybe just want to shield that midsole a little bit, make it a little more durable, but you don't want a lot of arch support, you can always go for the Game Days, which is going to give you a little more contour, but a lot of midsole shielding. Or if you want more traditional arch support, you can go for the Game Day Pro, which will give you more of that contoured functional arch support. So if you do want to pick a pair of either of these up, I will leave a link in the description below, as well as a link to the comparison video I did of these a few months ago before they ever sponsored a video of mine, just kind of showing the differences between the two, a little more of an in-depth video. All right, back to the shoes. And coming in at number 1, I'm sure if you've followed my channel a lot, you probably already guessed it. However, it is the Babolat Jetmock 3. And I know I'm getting kind of redundant making this the top pickleball shoe on my list all the time. However, there's just nothing else that has come out that is better than it. It has stability that's comparable to the Wave Wade's, but it also has speed comparable to the Diadora B Icon. It also is a lot more durable than a lot of other shoes out there, and it has a much more ergonomic upper than a lot of other shoes, which gives you number 1, grip, durability, but also really good ergonomics. So really, the Babolat Jetmock 3 combines pretty much the best of every shoe on this list for outdoor courts, and still finds a way to make the shoe incredibly comfortable as well. All right, so getting into the top 5 indoor shoes, remember a lot of times at indoor courts, you're gonna be on either hardwood, rubberized, or carpet courts. Usually people I'm seeing are playing on hardwood more. Those surfaces are all a little bit more forgiving, obviously, than an outdoor court, but also the grip is a little bit different on an indoor court versus an outdoor court, so you need an outsole tread that's gonna kind of match up to that, as well as a midsole that's gonna match up to the softer surface. And coming in at number 5 is a shoe that gives you the ultimate flexibility in the uppers, but also the ultimate ruggedness in the outsole tread, and that is the Adidas Trae Young 2. And what I like about the Trae Young 2 for pickleball specifically is that the uppers allow your foot to have the ultimate degrees of freedom to get yourself out of some pretty weird situations on an indoor rubberized hardwood or carpet court by allowing your foot to move a little more freely, because it is mostly a textile mesh type upper. But also if you look at the outsole tread, it is a little bit more of an anatomic type tread pattern, and it undulates with the shape of the ball of your foot. So you are getting a ton of traction and a ton of rugged grip on the bottom, plus the arch spans almost the entire midfoot and heel of the shoe. So the footbed is ultra contoured, and it is going to give you a ton of support even on a hardwood court, which could be a little bit soft underfoot. And if you're used to playing outside, then go play indoor, you might need a little bit more of that arch support to keep yourself kind of moving as fast as you were on an outdoor asphalt or concrete court. And speaking of flexibility and freedom of movement, the number 4 shoe on this list has by far been the most fun shoe that I've tested this year, and one of my personal favorites, and that is the Li-Ning JB1. Now the JB1 is a drop-in midsole type shoe, which means that your foot comes in direct contact with the midsole foam, which means you can't put an orthotic in it. However, the drop-in midsole foam is so contoured and durable that it feels like there's an orthotic in the shoe. Plus it has an almost full-length carbon fiber plate, which is super thick underneath of that drop-in midsole, which gives these shoes a launch like you wouldn't believe. In basketball, they're ultra bouncy and really good for trying to shoot jumpers over other people. However, for pickleball, these are great for that first step launch or trying to change directions really quick, because not only do these give you a ton of flexibility and freedom of movement of your foot, but it also gives you a crazy first step launch no matter what direction you're going into, if you're going front to back or side to side. So if you're trying to find a shoe for the most creativity that you can get on an indoor court, the JB1, definitely best shoe on this list. And coming in at number 3, kind of a sleeper surprise shoe this year, and that has been the Jordan 1 Take 4. Now, interestingly, the Jordan 1 Take 4 is a budget model in the Jordan line. However, in terms of outsole tread for pickleball, especially on an indoor court, it just really doesn't get much better in terms of grip and kind of side-to-side stability on this rubber. It is a full-length herringbone tread pattern, and that rubber grips into an indoor hardwood court better than most flagship shoes I've seen this year. And in terms of side-to-side stability, because you are getting shoelace eyelets that pivot right here in the lateral forefoot, you do get a ton of pivoting power on these. And especially for the price point of these shoes, especially on an indoor hardwood court where durability isn't going to be as big of an issue, these are really a tremendous pickup. Now, if you are looking for more of a plush ride, you're probably going to want to throw a pair of orthotics in these, and because they are a little bit more low profile, like I said, the moves are a really good pickup for these as well, kind of like in the outdoor section, like I was talking about with the Sole Match Controller, the 796. But in my opinion, if you can throw a pair of orthotics in these, you are getting more of a flagship type shoe and more of a budget model price. And coming in at number 2, I know this is kind of like Groundhog Day, however, it's once again the Way of Wade All City 10 V2. The one thing I've noticed about the All City 10s is it takes about 5 minutes of rubber warming on these to get them really nice and gripping on an indoor court. So I'd say if you do a little bit of karaoke steps or side-to-side shuffles or just kind of like mini shuttle tests on these before you start playing, that rubber will be so nice and warmed up that it'll give you equal type grip on an indoor court that it does give on the outdoor courts. I did notice though, if the court is a little bit dustier or things like that, they do take a little bit more time to warm up on the indoor courts. However, the general profile of the shoe itself, it just lends itself to pickleball. Just give a couple minutes for the rubber to warm up and you've got a tremendous indoor shoe or outdoor. And coming in at number 1, once again, is kind of an old stalwart of this channel, a shoe that's made a lot of different lists, and that is the Nike PG6. And the PG6 has occupied spots on the top pickleball list. It's been the number 1 basketball shoe in the past, and that's because it just does so many things so well. Number 1, the grip on these is almost unmatched. It's got this lunar base pattern on it, then on an indoor hardwood or even rubberized or carpet court, just grips tremendous. Number 2, the profile of the outsole tread is a little bit wider here in the midfoot, so especially moving side to side really quick or even front to back in a small contained space, these do really well in terms of grip as well as kind of getting off the ground pretty well. Now, the next thing is it is an entire bed of React foam, which does give a little bit more of a lightweight snap to the shoe, especially with the nice thick shank here in the middle. So the shoe does give a little bit of pop, but also feels a little bit lighter underfoot. And because the PG6s have a little bit more bulk here around the ball of the foot as well as the midfoot, they stay really stable. So even though they're not the most bulky shoe out there, they give you the stability of a little bit more of a bulky shoe, but also the speed and kind of the stability and quick of footedness as some lighter, more minimalist shoes. But of course, I'd love to know your thoughts. I mean, are you using the same shoes for both indoor and outdoor, or are you going more sport and court specific? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you want to see a deep dive and tear down on any of the shoe on this list, I have set up a special playlist up above, and make sure you subscribe down below. Thanks again to Move for sponsoring this video. Respect your rubber and foam. I'll see you in the next one.